Obviously, it's not a good look for the iconic brand Nike releasing this statement. We are obviously concerned and want to wish Zion a speedy recovery. The quality and performance of our products are of utmost importance. While this is an isolated occurrence, we are working to identify the issue. Max, how bad of a look is this for the Nike brand?
It couldn't be worse, let's face it. And by the way, I suppose that could happen to any sneaker. Who knows? Like, a lot of this may be the kind of stress that Zion Williamson puts on a sneaker. He's 285 and made of rock, right? And yet he's fast, twitchy, and leaps and stops on a dime. So, like, it's understandable. But let's face it, guys, it points out several things. One, these sneaker companies have deals with schools and with... And these kids have to wear the equipment, as Jalen Rose pointed out on Get Up this morning. The next time Zion Williamson steps on a court for Duke, he's going to have to put that same brand sneaker on that just exploded on his foot. So it points out the kind of hypocrisy, the fact that he's not getting paid, that he may be jeopardized by equipment. The argument could be made. I'm not making it, but certainly it could have that appearance. And yet he has to put it right back on if he wants to continue to play. And then also, come on, it's been well documented. There's been a lot made through the years of the fact that in developing countries, a lot of these sneakers, Nike sneakers, have been produced. It costs them something like $1 to make. They sell them, you know, in the inner city in this country to aspiring basketball players and people who just want to be like the basketball players for $100 a pair, right? And so this also puts a spotlight on that. Like, whoa, how are these shoes made? I know, like, with designer sneakers that are a lot of money, I prefer wearing name brand sneakers like Nike or Asics or something because they've put, like, you know, so much money into designing. That's all they do. They design sneakers. They know how to make your foot feel good. That's their core business, right? But also they're made inexpensively, and when something like this happens, it points it out. It is a terrible look for Nike.
It's a bad look for Nike. According to reports, their stock has dropped about 1%. The thing that I found funny about it, Will, and I'll say this. We know that Duke and Mike Krzyzewski have a deal with Nike. What did you hear Mike Krzyzewski saying in the press conference? It was Mike Krzyzewski that brought up the fact that it wasn't the first time he had seen Zion Williamson, struggling with his footing to some degree, that he was slipping and sliding a few times this season or what have you. Why? Because you're going to try to offset the hit that it will take to Nike. I don't think it's going to last. They're still the creme de la creme of the sneaker industry. Footwear industry, foot gear, we get that. But it's definitely a bad look. That's why their stock has dropped, albeit just 1%. It is still dropped. And obviously, you got Zion Williamson and coming out of his shoe, the fashion in which the shoe crumbled upon him. I mean, when you look at that shoe, it's just a bad look. There's just no way around it.
You know, the problem with this question, and I'm not coming at you, Molly, or anybody producing the show. The problem with the question is it's obvious. Yeah, it's a bad look for Nike. Of course, we all know that. Here's the question. Should it be? Should it be a bad look for Nike? The first thing I thought of when I watched this, by the way, wasn't, wow, what a crappy shoe. It was Zion just hulked out of his shoe. Like, that's the first thought. I mean, a shoe cannot hold him. That's what I thought. As you point out, Max, Zion he's all the things we've lauded all year long. He's improbable. We don't see guys like this big, this fast, this mobile. We do not have comps. We struggle to find who is Zion, who is Zion, who is Zion. Well, you know who Zion is? A guy that a shoe can't hold. How many thousands of times a week, how many hundreds of times a night in the NBA or in college basketball is a cut made in a Nike shoe? And how many times does it blow up? I'm not looking to defend Nike. I don't care about Nike. Hell, I wear Adidas and Pumas these days.
Yeah, you do. Okay,
but I don't.
With fat laces like we did back in the day.
Yeah, you do. Such a New Yorker now.
When I'm not
you got the leaves with the crease down the middle and the Latigra too?
Yeah.
When I'm not wearing ML Letty cowboy boots, that is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't want to be a corporate shill, but I'm also a guy for statistics and probability. This right here is not a high probability incident. There's no reason to everybody all of a sudden freak out about Nike. It's Zion Williamson, for God's sake.
Hold on. Wait a minute. You may be right about that, Will. You may be right about that, Max. But don't just put it on Zion Williamson. One of my boys, Champ, just sent me a video a little while ago showing Manu Ginobili's shoe busting open on him a few years back as well. So Zion Williamson is an entirely different build than Manu Ginobili, but it happened. So
and
it's
Stephen
not
A,
about Zion Williamson.
Was that Nike
it's about
too?
the footwear.
Stephen
Yes,
A,
I
was
believe
that
it
Nike too?
I believe it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, guys, real quick,
I'm not
Will,
sure.
to your point, and I made the point earlier, it's kind of like the spectacle of Zion Williamson. Like, oh my God, he busts out of his shoe. You said like the Incredible Hulk, right? Like when he's ripping the clothes. You know, once upon a time, Darryl Dawkins would shatter backboards, right? And then like, what happens when a guy comes along and do that? They improve the technology. Really.
Yeah.
Like the upshot of this may be that Nike's going to have put some money into research and development and some advertising campaign about how they can make a sneaker that can hold Zion Williamson, right? Like that's what happens
Sounds
when
like a good
someone like
campaign.
Shaq brings down the stanchion.
Nike will be,
I'm not
Nike will
hating. It
be
looked
just
cheap,
fine.
though, guys.
Nike will be just fine. The quality of their products are undeniable. You know, they are the standard for a reason. They're exceptional. But last night wasn't a good look. And by the way, again, I don't know if that was Nike with Manu Ginobili. I have
It
no
was
clue.
Stephen A. It was
Okay.
confirmed in my golden ear right here.